Hi, hey, welcome to, just reading, I kind of unearthed there. Welcome to Diaries with myself, Oliver, Dungeon Master. Welcome along on this rainy Saturday evening, afternoon. I have no idea. Allow me to grab my coffee. So, welcome along to, the 4th edition, I do believe. I am keeping track, surely. Yes, I know what's going on. What? Hello? Of Dungeon Master Diaries. Well, your chance to get behind the DM screen and find out what's going on in my head. Disclaimer, a lot of it is carousels of horse skeletons. So, there's a few things I want to talk about this afternoon. I'm just about to go into meditation mode and write for tomorrow's campaign, which is an Eyes of Elisia game. I'm very excited for. We jump back right into the middle of combat. We had to pause there, so I'm really looking forward to that. And make sure you check it out when it hits the channel in a couple of days. It's going to rain, and there's very little I can do to stop that. I have been training myself in world magic, but, you know, it takes a while. So the first thing I just love to talk about on this is how I left my phone on and it just made a noise. Now, some people will say that when you're doing a video, you should probably turn your phone off because it's a distraction. But as a Dungeon Master, I find it's often a really good tool just to have your phone so you can be distracted and not really pay too much attention to anyone else. I'm going to put that over there. And we'll continue seamlessly, as if nothing there just happened. So, first thing I'd like to talk about is my love for D&D and Critical Role. Because it's been about a year since I got into D&D, and you know it's gone crazy from playing Switch, Halfling, Rogue, in Ben's game. Ben, who does the GM Journey podcast on SoundCloud and iTunes and SoundCloud, yep, which is part of the D20 Multiverse project. He was the one that introduced me, and since playing that, you know, I loved it instantly. I just went, wow, this is the best. And I'm kind of annoyed that I didn't learn it earlier in my life. But then, you know, if I did learn it earlier, I wouldn't have anything new to discover at this point. So maybe it was just, you know, meant to be kind of thing. I love it, and being part of the critter community is one of the most beautiful things. There was episode 114 last night of Critical Role, and it was an epic one, and the whole chat was just like unified, and we were sharing this experience together of the thrills and the spills and the combats, and we really kind of rallied together. It was a 5.5 hour episode, and I was starving by the end of it. I really needed to go get food, but I didn't. I stayed with it because it was amazing. The energy in the chat, I mean, it was wild. It was like one of the top 10 experiences for the entire year for me. It was wonderful, and the critter community can be so lovely, you know? Especially when you see critics online, they post that they're having a hard time, and the whole community rallies behind them with Critical Role gifts and stories of their, you know, best natural 20s and all that stuff. I'm really proud of the critter community, and it's an honour to be part of it. D&D just means the world to me. Hanging out with my friends 2 times a week, telling these stories together, and learning and experiencing and playing, and it's just one of those things that, you know, I'll always do for the rest of my life. I'm sure that I'm always going to be playing and DMing this wonderful, wonderful game. So thank you guys for making my life so amazing and making these sessions beautiful. And shout out to the critter community for being loving people. I also like to now give you a couple of cheap tricks that I've picked up in the way of dungeon mastering. My first and favourite is when you're trying to come up with something on the fly, it can be very difficult. Players go to, for example, the ruins of Selafor, which they weren't supposed to. That was just supposed to be a little like mention on the map. They all decided to go there and explore. My favourite thing to do when you're pressed for time and you need to think of something is have everyone roll perception. Now, you don't really need people to roll perception when they just go into a city, because, you know, they can look around, you know, but saying, okay, everyone roll perception gives them time to go. And that 30 seconds to 60 seconds is enough to be like, okay, you see a unicorn with a leather vest who's singing John Bon Jovi whilst dancing the La Cucaracha with a coconut bra. I have no idea where that came from. Anyway, yeah, so that's one of the cheap tricks that I use. Another one is if you're getting to a point in the session where they've done everything that you've written and you're now in a void and they're heading towards somewhere and you're like, oh my god, I have no idea. I haven't planned this story too far. I don't know what happens next. I have no idea. Throw in a combat, because that eats up like an hour or two, depending on how many monsters you throw in there. That buys you time to be like, well, we're out of time before you go to the castle. Well, we'll pick it up next week. And just hope the players don't go, actually, I can stay for another couple of hours. Throw in some combat. It slows it down, you know. But I don't only do that to slow it down. I love the combat. I love I love creating monsters. It's one of my favourite things as a DM. Drakava Olivia, the king of the Silver Citadel, is a creature that I created last week for Eyes of Elisia, and that's what they're going to be facing in the middle of combat when we get back to Eyes of Elisia tomorrow. So it's going to be really great, and I love the process of being like, hey, what attack should he have? What makes him unique? Why? And spider climb. I love spider climb. You know, they just go up the walls and sit on the roof and drop on people. That's just wonderful. No melee attacks. Because apart from the druid, you know, not anyone can climb the wall, so yeah, that's always fun. What else? I've got like a little list over here, so I'm just like looking through. Dealing with players leaving and joining. Now, Black Winter Nights, one of the games that I run here on D20 Multiverse, has 2 players that are moving to the United States. Why do I keep saying United States? The UK, for work, which is really sad because I love them, and they're such an integral part of Black Winter Nights. It's really sad to see them go, but there's not much I can do. So, I'm trying to get these players out of the game in a way that's satisfying to them and bring some new players in. That's what I want to talk about now. So when it comes to a point when the players are like, well, I need to leave for whatever reason, schedule's changed, I became Prince of Saudi Arabia, all that kind of stuff. And I love to, and I think this is what you should do, I don't want to say like you should be doing this, but certainly consider this at least, is leave it up to the players. I said to Isgrim, when Isgrim had to leave Black Winter Nights and instead join Eyes of Elisia, that's actually the wrong way around. I said to him, what do you want Isgrim to do? And I said, do you want to die in the heat of battle? Do you want to save the party and sacrifice yourself so they can get away from a great monster and die in a flash of fire and fury? And he said, I said, do you want to become an NPC? And yeah, still be in the background and kind of still exist in the world? Or would you like to betray the party and stab them in the back while they sleep, kind of thing? And he said he wants to travel with his Goliath tribe and continue exploring the world and just go on a journey. And he'll resurface at some point, having completed that journey. So I think it's really important to leave it up to the player when they decide that they're leaving. Because you kind of, especially with a player that's connected with a character, has been playing it for a while, you want them to feel satisfied and the story arc of their character has come to a close. You want them to be able to say, that was a nice ending for that character, or whatever. So I love to leave it up to the players. Now, bringing players in is slightly more difficult. Because, especially with a group that's already been playing, like Eyes of Elisia, so Black Winter Nights, which is the one that's getting 2 new players, has been playing for months now, and really quite a tight unit kind of thing, like cohesive. So introducing a new character to that can be very challenging. But what I like to do is, I always leave the backstory up to the character unless they need help with it, up to the player. So I grab the pages and pages of backstory, I read through it, and I go, well, here you mentioned a small town. There is Scartown, maybe that could be the small town that you're talking about here. And they go, cool, 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 and that kind of ties them in the world, but leaves it up to them. So what I like to do with a new player is run them through their backstory at the table, so everyone else kind of knows the parts that they want them to know. There might be a few secrets, and say, well, Jim, this is a classic D&D name, Jim, as you wander through the desert of the black sand, as the cloud parts above you, and a lone raven swoops with the grace of a god, lands on your shoulder and makes a sound like a vacuum cleaner sucking up a penny. You know, just run them through their backstory and then hand it over to them and say, right, now you're at the gates of the castle, what do you do? Then it's the hard task of saying, right, well now, what makes the party want to interact with this person? Why would they introduce them? You know, what motivation does the party have to say, hey, come and venture with us? My favourite trick for this is the vision and the dream. Essentially, my religious players, Gorstark, who worships Pelor, Maple, who worships Istis, Corellin is Raiko's deity, and the Raven Queen, obviously, for Sylvia's. They trust in their deities, which is cool. So I can say, you get a vision from Corellin, the sunlight beams in your face, and suddenly you see this person haloed in a golden light, and you feel compelled to talk to them. Corellin kind of, you know, so that's a good way of doing it. But I can't use that every time, because I think I have used that every time. Other way to do it is, when they're in combat, have the new player rush in and say, don't you attack these innocents! Poof. And then not only is the party like, okay, this is a good guy, but they're almost indebted to them, so they almost have to hang out with them for the next session or so. And then from there, you kind of work them into the story. There's lots of different ways of doing that. Those are just a few of my favourites. Another thing I want to talk about this episode is players seeing through your plot twists. It's happened in the last episode of Black Winter Nights. I thought that I was being very crafty and secretive, but they immediately kind of just went, oh, it's a vampire. And I was like, you're not supposed to know that yet. And then I was like, oh, by the way, all the guards are going to go and station themselves outside while Naya calls for a meeting of the adventurers. And someone goes, it's a kill box. And I was like, you're not supposed to know that. They're very, very clever people, so it's difficult to try and outwit them. But essentially, that's the thing you have to deal with sometimes, is like story arcs that change. Like Queen Asalia in Eyes of Elisia was supposed to die, and they saved her, and that ruined the story arc that I had planned. But hey, it's D&D, so I reworked it. But yeah, when your players see through your intention, they figure out a plot twist before they're supposed to, just add another one. Just add some more mystery to it, add another turn, add another twist. Add some new characters, add some new elements to it, you know, you can always keep tricking them. And I don't say that in a way like, oh, I like to trick my players. No, I love the moments where they go, like when Stormbeard stepped out of the shadows and revealed himself as a compadre of the main villain at the time. The party went, oh my god, we sat with that guy, we shared information with him, he was trusted, he was a trusted advisor, he was one of the leaders of the great militias of Firehold Kingdom. Like, the table actually went, and it's like, that's what I love about DMing, being able to create those real emotional moments and have players be like, holy crap, we did not expect that, shh. That's just my computer telling me that you don't want to know. Where was I? I don't know, what was I talking about? I completely derailed by the sound of my computer. Stormbeard, yeah, sorry. I love that moment when people go, I can't believe it. That's always really fun for me. Especially, and also when you see them almost cry. And it sounds weird saying I like to watch people cry, but no, I love, that means they're engaged in the story, which is cool. And the last thing I'd like to talk about is the homebrew races and classes. Now, DMs are largely divided on this, in the fact that some of them say core books, right, that's it. And others say, hey, you want to play a lightning-based mouse? Why is Pikachu on my mind? Yeah, so I actually encourage homebrew races and classes, but I do add a provision that you have to run it by me first, because some of these homebrew classes can be a bit overpowered, and you don't want to give one player too much, because it takes away from the fun of it. Usually I turn the sound off, but I'm just not that clever. Yeah, so homebrew races and classes I think are really fun, but I think you should always run through them and double check that they're not too powerful. Because it kind of unbalances the team, and it ruins, like, if you can say, oh, I can fly 10 million feet and teleport because it said it in this homebrew. It's like, well, that's going to take away a lot of the challenges that make D&D fun for the party. So there's that kind of thing of DM's discretion, I suppose, and I'm just going to turn that off before I get another message on there. Alright, even though this is almost the end of the episode. Yeah, so homebrew races and classes I think are fantastic. I just always think, run it by your DM first and maybe say, like for a changeling, for example, I think that they're a bit too powerful in some of the incarnations, and I think I was going to, because one of the new players wanted to play a changeling, I thought, well, I'll add some provisions to make it more like wild shape for a druid, because at the moment you can just turn into however many creatures you want that you've seen, and that's too powerful. You can just turn into the prince and walk straight past the guards and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I do like to check homebrew races and classes, but I love them because it's a collaborative effort. And I run a homebrew world. I mean, it's 50, and I use the core books. I've got the core. That's what I use. And Vola's guide on its way soon. Yeah. But I make stuff up. I make up traits. I make up feats. I make up monsters. I make up the world and the stories and stuff. So it's a very homebrewed kind of world. But I think that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. I just want to say again how much I love D&D. This game is wonderful. It's a really nice creative outlet for me, and being able to create these wonderful stories and have people get excited. It's almost like a party every week. That's probably why they call it a party. Anyway, that's basically it for this episode of Dungeon Master Diaries with myself, Oliver Dungeon Master, getting behind the DM screen and finding out what's going on in my head. If you're wondering, it's 3 bald guys covered in oil. Yeah. So, my mind's all over the place. I had an audition today, so I'm a bit scared of rain. Anyway, that is it for now. Remember, go and check out the games I've been talking about. Eyes of Elisia and Black Winter Nights. I DM them both. I'm just about to start writing for tomorrow's campaign. Although I know pretty much what's going to happen. I'm just going to add some new stuff. And yeah, keep supporting D20 Multiverse, because we love you, and you're awesome. And for myself, Olli Dungeon Master, may the dice roll ever in your favour.